Good evening, everybody. We have a little bit of a smaller crowd this evening, but we're glad that you came out. I'm Krista Lundy, the Executive Director at the Meadville Chamber of Commerce. And we're very excited to have you here for, I think this is the 5th or 6th in our seminar series, The Sweetness of Aging. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you to Armstrong for, of course, being here as always. Thank you to Active Aging for letting us use the facility. And a big thank you to our 3 speakers this evening. This evening's topic is aging, and it is wellness as we age. So looking forward to that, hearing about that, different things. We have 3 great dynamic businesswomen here to talk to you, and I'm excited to introduce you to them. Our first speaker is Nicole Graham. She's the Association Membership and Marketing Director at the Meadville YMCA. She's worked there for the past 10 years, where she's worked in childcare, aquatics as a campaign director, and a wellness director. Currently, Nicole has developed a diabetes prevention program at the Y, where there are 15 participants, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the Y and the various Ys that there are, and other things in town that are available to us. So, Nicole, you can start things off.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I just wanted to touch base with you and just let you know some of the things that the Y has to offer. I'm not quite sure if I know a few faces look familiar, but if you are currently a Y member, will you raise your hand for me? And which facility do you use?
I used to downtown. I used to go to the aqua aerobics.
Wonderful, wonderful. So there's a testimony right there about the aqua classes. Have you tried the Zumba class by chance?
One time.
One time, the aqua Zumba. So we have 103 wellness classes between the 3 sites. We also have over 7 tons of weights. So when people say, oh, you're just a Y, just a gym, just a swim, we're more than that. We actually have the downtown branch, which we just celebrated the Meadville YMCA 151 years being in Meadville. So we also have the branch up at Vernon, where we collaborated with the hospital, and that's at Vernon Place. And we also have Cockerton is one of our branches. And it's just a little express. I know everyone's like, Cockerton's so far out there. They used to be a video store, and we have turned it into a Cockerton Express. What's really nice about a Y membership, not only we have the insurance, which I'll get to in just a second, but the other thing that we have is what's called reciprocity. You can go across the state of Pennsylvania with any Y membership for free. So you can go to any YMCA for free. And then by October, you can go nationwide. So if you have family, you're going on vacation, you're heading down to Florida, you have a current Y membership with us, you can go down to their YMCA for free. So great perks about the YMCA. We are our separate entity, which means that we do all hold that YMCA name, but we are separate businesses. And we run on a campaign. And I have some brochures and literature and everything over there, so feel free at the end if you guys would like to take some. But the annual campaign is one of the most important things I talk about at the Y. And what this is we are a nonprofit organization, so all the funds that we raise for the YMCA stay in the community. And why we go ahead and we take those funds and we make sure that people that can't afford membership programs, childcare is a big one around here, that they get the funds that they need to come on and enjoy the Y. I've never turned anybody away. There's some YMCAs that say, I'm sorry, we're only raising a couple $100,000, so when that's done, it's done. Not the Meadville Y. I will make sure that anyone that comes to the Y goes ahead and gets what they need. We just had a family come in today, and they were over the guidelines, but they're going through some tough times right now. And of course, that some of our scholarship went to help them so they can enjoy the Y. I have a lot of children that have no place to go in the summertime, and they can come and play basketball. They can go to the Mark, because we now have a collaboration with the Mark. And you can go to the Mark 7 days a week from noon to 7 with a Y membership for free. All you gotta do is bring your key tag. The thing I was gonna talk to you about is insurance. When you reach 65, a lot of the insurance companies will go ahead and they will pay for your free membership. There's different programs. They got the silver sneakers, They got also silver and fit. Now it's a little tricky when you go ahead and you sign on for your insurance. What you need to do is whoever's talking to you about your insurance, you need to ask them, does this include the membership? Because some of them do not. We've had quite a few individuals come in and they're like, well, my neighbor, she qualifies. Well, how come I don't qualify? It is a little tricky. You gotta love health insurance, but there's like a little box that you check, and it might be that your premium might be a tad bit higher, or maybe your copay might be a tad bit higher. But definitely talk to your insurance representative, whoever you're gonna have your insurance through, to make sure that they explain to you the benefits. It's very easy to get a Y membership when you have the insurance card. We just make sure that we take a look at your first, last name, date of birth. If you're in the system, we bill them. That's all you gotta do. If you are over the age of 62 and you don't quite qualify for the free membership with the insurance, we do have a senior rate, and that senior rate is only $29 a month. Remember, that gets you all 3 of our branches across the state of Pennsylvania for free at any YMCA, and in October you can go nationwide. So there are a lot of perks. We have personal trainers on site to go ahead and help you. You get a free fitness orientation. So if you are new to the gym, never been to exercising or anything, which I'm so glad you do the aqua classes, because that's one thing I really recommend to people that are active aging, that they go ahead and try that, the water exercises. And even people that are not of that age, please, by all means, try it. It's wonderful on your joints. But I do have a membership information, a brochure, and that is over there also. I also have a couple schedules, so if you guys are interested, there's the downtown and the Vernon wellness schedule. I have the pool schedule, which you probably have. And then we also, which my nutrition people will love me for this, but we did advertise in this coupon book, and it does have a few places in here of fast food for coupons, but there's also wonderful things about like mattresses. There's Honda Car Street Track and Trail has something in here, and of course the YMCA. So feel free to go ahead and take a look over there. The personal trainers, they are, like I said, independent contractors, so your free fitness orientation is included when you sign up for your membership with one of our personal trainers to show you. Beyond that, they set their own rate. So if you are looking for somebody, we get that a lot. People are like, well, I need that motivation. I recommend joining a class. I recommend just getting into some of the groups, because those classes, even though they say they're silver sneakers, you don't have to have a silver sneakers insurance to have that class. They are absolutely wonderful. I did bring a diabetes prevention program, as Krista was saying, and what you hear around here a lot is when you already are diagnosed with something. And so I've been working with the CDC up in Erie and found out that there was a grant available, and I had to go, and a couple other instructors, we went and got certified as lifestyle coaches, and we are trying to prevent diabetes. The individuals that we have 15 participants. We had over 50 come in and ask and try to see if they qualified. If you're already diagnosed with diabetes, you cannot attend, that's through the health department itself. But if you are in the pre-diabetes stage, and there's different guidelines, your blood work, your sugar, the glucose test, then we can definitely get you in. We're having another class in January. The class is a year commitment. With that, you meet once a week for the first 6 months, and then the second 6 months of that year, you meet only once a month. With that, you get a family membership. So not only are you getting some nutrition value, we are partnering with Mind Body Wellness for them to be able to help us with our year 2 of this coming up. So they can help with, like I said, the nutrition classes and everything. But we also have that lifestyle coach that goes and talks to you. We talk about portions of food. You have a food journal. I think that was the hardest for everybody to try to get used to. You literally have to, you put it in your mouth, you have to write it down. And people were forgetting even, I know, it's terrible, isn't it? A cookie, yes. But it made you realize some of the things that you actually ate, you know, and then made you pay attention, like, oh my goodness, that Tic Tac. Oh, yeah, I have to write that Tic Tac down. But we have actually lost about 100 pounds between the 15 participants. So I am so proud of each and every one of them. They are attending faithfully. They are exercising at the Y. I see them out and about, and they have definitely made a lifestyle change. So if anybody can benefit from round 2 of our diabetes prevention program, they can contact me at the Vernon Y or one of the branches, and we'll be happy to help you. And like I said, that'll be going on. We'll do more of an open house for that starting probably in November, December, and kicking off the end of January for year 2. Is there any questions that anyone had in particular about health and wellness at exercising YMCA? Quiet group. Like I said, there's literature over there. You're more than welcome afterwards. If you come up with something, hey, I forgot to ask, please feel free to ask me. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at one of the branches. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nicole. And I learned several things about the Y that I didn't know. So that was fantastic. A lot of different things for various family members and so forth. And also, I know you said that the YMCA is collaborating with the MARC. Mm-hmm. You also collaborate with the Chamber, and there are numerous businesses in town that if you are a member of the Chamber, you get a discount at the Y for your employees and your staff. So thank you for collaborating with us as well in the business community, not only just in the community at large. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker, I'm proud to introduce, is Dena. She is a registered dietitian nutritionist. She graduated from Gannon University in 1997 and began inpatient counseling at Meadville Medical Center until 2000. She transferred to be outpatient dietitian at the Mind Body Wellness Center until 2007. And then she took a job as a renal dietitian with Dena Dialysis in Andover, Ohio, where she currently still works. So please help me welcome Dena.
Hi, everybody. How you doing today? Good. Well, like she said, I have spent years in Meadville counseling individuals one-on-one. Taught classes at the Mind Body Wellness Center, and that was probably the start of the diabetes management programs in our area, and I loved it. I taught children's nutrition classes, teenagers nutrition classes. I loved it. However, then I had 3 children enter my life that I needed to focus on. So I was fortunate enough to join Dena. And if you're not familiar with what Dena is, it's dialysis. So it is strictly a dialysis diet. So I've really gotten away from the preventative nutrition and wellness, and I kind of miss it, kind of, but I love my dialysis patients. It's a special place to be. So, and Dena is a company that has pre-kidney disease classes. If anyone is ever curious or needs that type of information or help, they do have a website for that. And they actually teach patients and family members leading up to the possible need for dialysis and inform you. So they have a great website. It's not exactly what I was here to do, but just wanted to kind of give you where I came from and what I'm doing. One of my roles as a dialysis dietitian is a bone and mineral manager. And I think that can be applied to everyone in this room, everyone in this community. Can think of the number one thing we're going to talk about, calcium. Everyone always asks me, oh, we're females or males, and how much calcium do we need? Actually, calcium is the most abundant mineral in our body. It is needed not only for your bone health, but for muscle function, nerve transmission, vascular contraction, and like we said, the bone health is the biggest one we think of. And as we get older, we know this, that our bone breakdown tends to outperform the formation. And that's what leads to osteoporosis in adults as we age. So we need to focus on how much calcium we're getting in our diet. Males, I'm using my cheat sheet because most dietitians, or at least in what I do, I don't look at these numbers every day. Your males aged 51 to 70 need 1,000 milligrams a day. 71 and up is 1,200. Females 51 and up, I just broke that off because I'm almost there. So I said 51 and up, 1,200 milligrams a day. Now, diet versus pills. This is since I have graduated from college. Please try to get your nutrients from food. There are so many other benefits to eating food versus popping a pill or a supplement. There's fiber, there's calories that we need, believe it or not. There's good fats. So I'll touch on that as I bring up some of these examples. Things like yogurt, milk, cheese. But when you eat these products, and you're going to get 300 to 400 milligrams of calcium in a serving, you want to look for the lower fat versions. We got to protect our heart and keep our bones healthy. We don't want to treat one thing and cause another problem. Orange juice. If you don't like dairy products, some people are lactose intolerant. Fortified orange juice is almost the same content of calcium as your milk products. There are milk products, to avoid saying brands. There's a great milk product in the market now that is a lactose-free milk that I actually use and I love it. So we're going to provide you the adequate calcium needs. People will say, well, doesn't whole milk have more calcium in it than the skim or 1%? Nope. Skim, 1%, whole milk, they're all the same in calcium. So go for the low fat, go for the skim or 1% milks. Okay, and from there, your cheeses too. Try to go for your lower fat cheeses. I'm not a fan of fat-free because also part of my diet in my dialysis world, and everybody's is low sodium. A lot of the lower fat and fat-free products tend to be very high in sodium. Anybody want to guess why?
Make up for the taste.
Make up for the taste, because you take out the fat. What does fat do? Flavors food. Think about how good does bacon taste compared to turkey bacon. Sorry, turkey bacon, didn't mean to throw you under the bus, but fat flavors food. So you take the fat out, you need to add something. They add salt. The other thing is salt is in anything packaged, prepared convenience. I mean, how do you get a can of meat to sit on a shelf for 15 years? I wouldn't want to eat it. Maybe if I absolutely had to, I would, but not the best choice. So back to calcium. There's other non-dairy things like kale or broccoli. They're significantly lower in calcium. You'd have to eat a whole lot of it, and it might cause a little belly issues. But it's something that you could throw into stir fries on a weekly basis or sides. It's kind of a nice thing. Supplementing at any time before you start a supplement, please talk to your physician, your primary care, or if you have a specialty physician, check with them too, because sometimes there's interactions with medications we have to be very careful about. But you could take something like calcium carbonate, which is a Tums. You guys are very familiar with that one. And if you do take Tums, it's actually absorbed better when you take it with a food versus just popping it like at night on an empty belly. Or there's calcium citrate, which can be absorbed with either food or without food. There is some research out there saying that instead of popping 1,000 milligrams of calcium, you should actually break it up and do 500 2 separate times of the day because the amount that's totally absorbed at once. So just a little bit of information on that. What do you think of when you hear calcium though? Somebody always says, well, shouldn't I take something else with that? Vitamin D, our best friend around here because it's sunny every day, right? I work with a physician who knows how many days on average it's actually sunny in Meadville, and he recommends a vitamin D supplement to everybody. But he's not alone. Studies and more studies are coming out of the importance of vitamin D. It is naturally found in very, very few foods. You think of milk. Milk is actually fortified with vitamin D to give you about 400 international units in a glass. We need between 600 to 800 a day, depending on age, but most of us are around 600 to 800, higher end. You can get it from the flesh of fish, which we don't really consume a ton of fish. Fish, cod liver oils, very small amounts of vitamin D in things like beef liver, cheese, and somebody will say, well, egg yolks are good for you now. Well, it's a very small amount compared to the amount of cholesterol. Let's just stay with the American Heart and keep on their guidelines of just don't overdo it with egg yolks, but it's okay. If you want an example, I actually got this. Cod liver oil in a tablespoon is 1,360 international units a day in one little serving. So it's not something I would want to do every day. Not at all. Something like swordfish, salmon, those types of fish, I could incorporate once a week, I would say. I actually enjoy fish one time a week. I enjoy it better when somebody else makes it, although that has been my few-year goal now to actually cook more fish. And you just have to take small steps and say, what will you do to meet your nutrition goals, and know what you also won't do. It's almost as important. So if the American Heart recommends you eating fish 3 times a week for the benefits of the good fats, vitamin D or whatever, know that you're probably not going to cook it 3 times a week unless you really, I really haven't met anybody unless they live on the ocean shores that's going to cook fish that much. Okay, something else I wanted to bring up, and I've had a lot of people ask me this too, is, and this is all following in the line of a multivitamin, what do I do? B12. Basically, when you're over 50, most of us do have a deficiency because there's deficient amount of acid in our stomach that actually help to absorb that B12. Don't have to remember all that. Just know that it's a water-soluble vitamin. It's important for red blood cell production, which is anemia. So if you hear the term anemia, different types of anemia or being anemic, it may be that you need to speak to your physician about maybe a B12. Likely your physician's already been on that because they've seen the signs and symptoms of anemia and they've done some blood work. Physicians can test you for your B12 values, and then they can monitor it and then decide how they want you to treat from there. So if that's a concern, please follow their recommendations. Sources, if you'd like to know: beef, liver, clams, those are the top 3. But also cereals are fortified with B12. You'll see the fortifications on different types of cereals. Okay. Typically we see a B12 deficiency in vegetarians that aren't eating a lot of meat, or somebody with a chronic belly issue like celiac or a GI malabsorption problem. So that would be a red flag if you've got any of those concerns, to just bring it up with your physician. What do you think about B12? Some of them are fine, some of them are like, maybe we should check it. So with the belly issues, I like to talk about fiber. And when I taught my classes at the Mind Body, we would talk about fiber for 45 minutes. So this is a little abbreviated. Fiber is important in so many ways. Fiber's found in your whole grains, your fruits, your vegetables, but the apple peel, the peel of the pear, the skin of the grapes. So you think you got to chew it, that's a fiber. What does fiber do for us though? Anyone have a thought? From a weight management standpoint, it's going to keep you fuller longer on a smaller amount of food. And as we get older, our calorie needs actually do decrease, if you haven't figured that out. Usually around 30, we start feeling that, wow, I really can't eat as much as I used to, unless I'm going to the gym every day. It keeps you fuller on a smaller amount of food. So for weight management, you're able to cut calories, but get more nutrients and stay full. From a heart disease standpoint, it really does help to clean out our blood and keep us cleaner from the good fats versus bad fats, which I'm going to get into. The average American eats about 15 grams of fiber a day. If you ever look at a food label, you want to look at that dietary fiber, and it will say 3 grams of fiber or more. That's good. If it has like 1 gram of fiber, you might want to put it back and find something else. And I'm talking about your breads, your cereals, your pasta. There's pasta products out there right now that actually are high fiber and protein, and they're a white pasta, because I get a lot of complaints from patients that are like, I don't want that brown wheat pasta, it's terrible. I get that. I have teenagers, they don't like it either. But there are brands out there, and if you work with a registered dietitian nutritionist, we're wonderful for just throwing out 1,000 different brands to you for different things. So the intake, though, that we should be getting is anywhere from 20 to 40 grams a day. Slowly. If you are kind of adding up what you're eating and realizing you have about 8 grams a day, I would not jump to 40 grams tomorrow because you will be in a little bit of distress. So casually, slowly try to increase that with your whole grain bread products, your fresh fruits, vegetables, definitely. Okay. There are fiber supplements out there, but again, I mean, if you have to, for a medical reason, go ahead, but just eat some more fruits, vegetables. Blueberries and strawberries are coming so ripe right now. In the wintertime, what do? Frozen. Frozen are absolutely fine. Throw them into some yogurt, you get your calcium. Throw some whole grain granola, you get your fiber. So that's one of my go-tos. Very easy, simple little fruit and yogurt parfait. I just want to touch real brief on fats. The American Heart Association has a great website too for as a resource, as well as the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. They have very easy to explain, easy to follow types of handouts that you can get information on. You can also look up a registered dietitian nutritionist that counsels in your area to get one-on-one counseling if you think that that's something that would benefit you. With the fats, I just want to touch on saturated fat versus unsaturated, the good and the bad, and the really kind of ugly. When you look at a label, you're going to see total fat on the label. And really we want that to be 3 grams of fat or less is for a low-fat food. You look at your serving size too. Is this the whole package, or is this a teaspoon, or is it a half a cup? So have an idea or an awareness of how, what the serving is you're looking at for that total fat. Saturated fat is what we consider the unhealthy fats. These are the ones that are going to be artery damaging to us that we really want to limit in our diet. The unsaturated fats are the healthier fats. So, and from there you get monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. We could really get into the nitty gritty, but just to know that you really want to limit those saturated fats. Trans fats have really kind of been, I would say, put to jail in the past 10 years. 10 years ago, they were hidden on labels, and now they had to show them on labels, and now companies have taken it out of their foods because people have realized how bad they are. Trans fats are basically when you take an oil and you heat it to a high temperature, this trans fatty acid is formed that's actually more damaging to our arteries than a saturated fat. Saturated fat, I think of butter, whole milk cheese. Trans fats, I think of anything deep fried. So limit to those deep fried foods. Not to say you can't have it a little bit here and there. So that's really summarizing that, but if you are interested to learn the details of each of those in more detail, I would send you to the American Heart website for that. And then from there, all I want to say to conclude with you guys is everything is really in moderation. I've done weight management diets with people that have had great success. I've had people that have failed. I've had friends do wonderful and friends fail. And it's everything you want to do and change in your diet, you need to ask. Like if I'm going to say, you need to have 6 cups of water a day, and you go, I hate water. And you're thinking, what am I going to do? You need to say, what am I going to do to make this change to do it the rest of my life? And maybe it's just taking 1 or 2 changes at a time and not saying, I need to lose weight or I need to change my lifestyle. You need to say, well, let me eat at least 2 fruits and 2 vegetables for the next 3 days. And then you do it for 3 days, and then you add 2 more days on. And then you've done it for a week. And then you slowly add those goals on. Don't try to make a massive lifestyle change all at once. It's not going to be a nice outcome. And when she was talking about the journaling is the #1 way to have success in any kind of diet, lifestyle management change. You write it, you do it, you write it down, it holds you accountable. It's kind of staring you in the face that you've done it. And you'll get on the scale and go, oh, and then you put it all together. And the other famous thing that we always said is you control 100% of everything you put in your mouth. So don't dig your own grave with your own knife and fork. It's kind of scary. Food and nutrition is exploding these days. There's a lot out there as far as nutrients and additives and preservatives and packaged foods, and food science is just evolving as a whole new way of nutrition. And I have to say, as a dietitian, it is hard to keep up when you're just in your little world of renal, but it's very interesting. I encourage anybody to get on the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics website. They will point you in any direction for resources, references, books, And you want to go with credible sources too. I would not pick up the next magazine in the checkout line that's not from a credible organization. There's a lot of false information out there, a lot of lay information. Make sure that it is somebody credible. Like I said, these registered dietitian nutritionists. We used to just be registered dietitians, and then we had a little confusion with people that were nutritionists or taking classes and calling themselves nutritionists, where we are registered. We sit through a lot of work and time in school and boards and maintain our credentials, and we just support each other as a whole organization. So I would point you in anyone's direction that way. So any questions? It's a lot to cover. Just to touch base, if it's just a little motivation for maybe you to, look up a couple things and pick up a few things you want to start changing or do differently or get more information on. Because it's a very broad subject. Where do you start? And sometimes that's just it. People need one little area to motivate them to make a change and do something different. Okay? All right. Well, thank you for your time.
You just reinforced a few things that I know. Eat less fried foods and more healthy foods and drink more water, so thank you, Dena. Yes, we're all pouring water now. We're going to drink more water. So thank you so much. I'm sure we all learned something. I took a few notes there, so thank you. I'm thrilled to announce our next speaker, our last speaker, Kelly Diley. She's a licensed clinical social worker in private practice and a Leadership Meadville 6 alumni from our Leadership Meadville program. Locally, most people know her from her work at the Mind and Body Wellness Center, and I met Kelly at Hospice of Crawford County, so I've known her for a few years, and she also worked, both of those were with Meadville Medical Center. She's currently working as an independent contractor for Integrative Therapies Meadville near the Market House, and also at Gallo and Psychological Associates in Hermitage. So thank you so much, Kelly.
Okay.
Emotional wellness is the portion that I'm going to speak about for the next few minutes. And that's harder to put our finger on than the physical health or the nutrition side. It's more abstract, but it really is just as important. So if you're following through with the suggestions that Nicole and Dena made, I can guarantee you're already in better emotional health because of the mind-body connection. But that being said, there are still ways that we can improve our mental health so that we can continue that active, healthy lifestyle as we get older. The skills that I'm talking about and that I'm going to cover are more than just keeping that positive outlook, though. So I'd like to ask you guys to consider a couple of questions. Are you able to maintain balance in your life? And by that I mean family, friends, all our responsibilities, your own health, caregiving for someone else if that's your role. How do you manage stress? How do you cope with disappointments or frustration? Or with whom can you consult when making healthcare decisions and financial decisions? The reason I ask these questions, they're important as we age, because we all know stress doesn't go away as we get older. In fact, some would say there's more to worry about as we get older than when we were young. I know myself with kids, to go back to the age where I was worried about whether the nap was long enough and what the behaviors were going to be like in the evening. Now I've got a teenager, so I'll just leave that. You guys already know what I'm saying. But some of you may be thinking that life was easier for you before your children grew up and became adults and had lives of their own, or before you retired, or before somebody became ill. So as responsibilities increase, we have to adjust to each of these phases of life and be in touch with ways that we manage all of those things. So one of the ways we can make sure we can juggle all of that is to take care of ourselves, and then also to make sure that we have a strong support network. And I wanted you guys to have something to take with you this evening. So Krista has a handout that I made copies of for you guys. It's a self-care inventory. So what that'll go over is, and you can just fill it out at your leisure, take it with you, but there's 5 different areas on the self-care inventory. the physical, the psychological, the emotional, spiritual, and then a workplace professional category. And you'll rate yourself on how disciplined you are about practicing different ways to kind of maintain that balance and manage those things. And it's no big deal if you are retired and maybe you don't have a workplace to score in that section. There's not a total number that we're looking for, and there's no pass or fail. It's just to increase your awareness and maybe provide some additional ideas for things that you can do that would be helpful. So what about the other question that I posed? That fourth question was regarding having people to consult with when you're faced with healthcare and financial decisions. That's important for a lot of reasons, and I don't want to imply that when you get to a certain point you're unable to make decisions for your own. Obviously that's the total opposite of what is real. We know ourselves better than anyone else. However, there are decisions that we need to make, and I know the other presentations in this series talked about that too, where you just want somebody to bounce those ideas off of. Here's a program I'm considering. What does that look like? Here's a health need that I have. How do I get that health need met within our local community? It's important for us to have people that we trust because those systems are complicated at times. Navigating through insurance, navigating through systems that maybe we're not familiar with and we didn't need to know about before certain things happened to our loved ones or to ourselves. I know there are many decisions in my life that I consulted with others before choosing a direction. Just to throw out a couple examples to make the point, we all shop around for a vehicle, right? You go to dealership, this is what I'm looking for, this is the gas mileage I want. High school students spend a lot of time choosing a college or a vocational path. And if I asked for a show of hands, I would guarantee you that y'all dated your husbands or wives before you married them, right? Okay. So we research things, we try stuff on, we ask for advice. And it's okay to do that. For some reason, there's a misconception as we get older, oh, well, I'm not gonna ask, I should already know this stuff. Or, we don't wanna ask our adult children because that's sort of a role reversal for some people. But that has to start being okay with us to ask people for their feedback. You also want to make sure that you have people to consult with that are vested in your best interest, aren't trying to sell you something, aren't trying to enroll you in something. Dana touched on the amount of misinformation out there, and sometimes that can be overwhelming also. The other thing that I wanted to mention is obviously we don't want to wait to educate ourselves about these things because once you're in a time of crisis, you're not a great consumer of products or services. You're not going to be able to make maybe the best decision if it's already too late and you needed something like 10 days ago. So you want to be proactive with that. So if you're already doing some of the things in the self-care inventory, you already feel pretty balanced, or you're already practicing those things, and you still have symptoms, okay, that's when you start to get concerned. Or maybe somebody you love or you're caring for is so sad or so worried that it consumes them most of the day, most days. That's to a point where you want to start thinking of maybe having them, talk to a professional healthcare provider. There's stats all over the internet, but I did pull the University of Michigan Depression Center says that as many 1 in 5 seniors experiences depression. So the first step, if you have those symptoms or if somebody that you love has those symptoms, I want people to understand that those symptoms can be managed effectively. So you either would want to talk to adult children, a friend, a neighbor, but talk to someone you trust. I also recommend that people talk with their primary care physician, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, whoever it is that you would see at that office. We're blessed in this area. There are so many good healthcare providers, and they genuinely do care about you. Now I know sometimes in my office the feedback I get from people is, oh, they don't take time for me. They don't really listen to me. But I also want people to understand that they themselves and older people in general tend to underreport their symptoms. You know, if you're going in to see your physician and you have, 3 different major health issues, are you going to think it's important to also mention your emotions or how you've been feeling or how you can't get out of bed in the day because of, the ways that you feel? It is important and it is information that they need to know. But we as healthcare professionals are also not mind readers, so we need people to share that information with us and be their own advocate. Or have somebody go with you. I know sometimes that can be a touchy subject. People are very private about their health care, but that can be something that can be very helpful also. Something that I think people overlook at times as far as emotions are concerned is potential side effects of medications. And that's another way that your healthcare provider can be helpful. If you're, for example, on a steroid for something, you might be jittery. That doesn't mean you have a mental health issue. It's a side effect, of your medication. And maybe the different medications that you're on, maybe it's the fact that you're taking them together and you have some kind of side effect. So that's not something you can really look up or ask, a layperson. You need to talk to a provider about that. Another option, if you can speak with a counselor, if that's something that you think would be helpful. Sometimes people just have a lot on their plate, and a non-biased, non-judgmental person to talk to those things about can be really helpful. If that's the case, the way that they can start with that is to flip their insurance card over and call the phone number on the back of that. There are many of us locally who accept different insurances. Your Medicare, your Highmark, your UPMC, there's lots of them out there. And what they'll do is they'll give you a list of providers in your local area, that you can then choose from. And you'd be surprised, once you make that decision to call and find out who in your area does accept your insurance, you may end up with 5-6 choices or more, depending on what it is. And then at that point, you can see who's accepting new patients and then who has a time slot, that would be available for you and where you're comfortable. So I guess to sum it up for me, for the emotional side, just sort of calling out that changes in health status, pending retirement, big decisions like that, different health services that you may need or your spouse may need. Some of that can be very overwhelming, and just to let people know that that's okay, for them to reach out for help, and to not let their pride get in the way, I guess, of not bouncing ideas off of other people. You go through that stuff alone, and then you might have regret, or you might end up enrolled in something that you didn't want to be enrolled in, or whatever the case may be. So we don't want pride or any of that stuff to get in the way of helping us make really good healthcare decisions. That's basically what I wanted to say. Does anybody have any questions as far as the emotional health or the mental health aspect goes? And we're all staying for a couple of minutes afterwards, so and there's business cards and whatnot over there for you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
I have to say, although this is one of the least attended events we've had so far, this is one of my absolute favorites. I took notes from each of you, so thank you so much. I literally did. So with myself aging and dealing with that, and as you said, always trying to take care of everybody else, not thinking of myself, and having parents that are aging, having issues, I know a lot of the things that you said, I was taking some notes. So thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate all 3 of you being here. Thank you everyone for attending the seminar. And a big thank you to Armstrong, thank you to Active Aging. And our next month's seminar, they're always the 4th Tuesday of every month here, and at 6:30 promptly. And next month will be July 25th. And we will have Angie Niedermeyer from Bimes Insurance, the expert on Social Security. And we will have Kathy Freeman from Active Aging here on Medicare. So this very hot topic, both of them, for yourself, for a loved one that you have dealing with issues, for a family member, whatever it may be. So we hope to see you again next month. Again, always the 4th Tuesday. They're free to the whole community, anyone. So invite a friend, Invite someone you think might benefit from coming to the event. And thank you so much for coming. Have a safe evening and have a wonderful July 4th weekend, everyone.
Yes. Thank you.